Oh, cool. It looks like New York City just opened up its own theme park. I hear it's called the New York City Experiment, and from all the reviews, it's absolutely terrifying. Welcome back, beautiful and amazing human beings. This is Luke Rudowski here of WeAreChange.org, and man, oh man, is there some crazy news to get into today. Crazy as just some of the people in New York City, which most likely will be getting more crazy, especially with big tech social media organizations like TikTok out there, which we're going to try to explain to you in this particular video. There's also a lot of crazy censorship, another big announcement by Elon Musk, if you're lucky enough to see it, and if we have time, we're going to be talking about the very happy white liberal women inside of Martha's Vineyard. Yeah. Lots to talk about, and of course, the footage that you saw in the beginning of this broadcast was from the New York City Metropolitan Transportation Agency on the New York City subway system, highlighting the absolute lawlessness that has gripped New York City, once a city deemed the greatest city in the world, and now a city filled with axe-wielding lunatics that are mad because they couldn't get a girl's number. Yes, clip after clip, social media is just being inundated right now with the most absurd, wild, craziest footage coming from New York City, where of course the people there have to live with this. The video footage going viral today is of course 3 skinny, effeminate, what looks like soy-filled boys trying to attack a man who literally stood there, took all of their punches, then went inside of his bag and literally got an axe and started threatening and destroying a McDonald's inside of New York City, and then going up to the girl that he failed to get the number with, threatening her, and then of course promptly leaving the McDonald's. Now, I think it's fair to say that there's a whole bunch of crazy people inside of New York City, but also almost everywhere else you look, which could be because of social media. And if you look at the decline of mental health, the rise of mental disorders, anxiety, depressions, incidents of self-harm, it is usually correlated with the use of social media. And recently, a lot of attention on this has been played on TikTok, a Chinese government-connected social media platform that of course has already been downloaded over 3 billion times, increasing its revenue from last year over 142%, as the number of active and captivated users staying on the platform is increasing by the day. Their revenue, along with the amount of people using them, is going up dramatically, which has even had other big tech social media giants like Google, Alphabet, and YouTube respond to this by now almost completely upending and changing their social media algorithms, where now on YouTube, shorts are promoted a lot more than, of course, actual YouTube videos, even having a very prominent role on desktops, which doesn't really make a lot of sense. And now with over 1 billion monthly active users, we have to ask ourselves in society, is this domination of our time on shorthand content that is only there for a few seconds, that actively warps your attention span and creates a mind where you can't focus on one thing, you just jump from one thing to another thing to another thing to another thing? We have to ask ourselves at the end of the day, what impact will this have on our society? And obviously, clearly, this will be a bad one. And particularly when it comes to TikTok, there's a lot of articles highlighting how it is bad for society, for people's mental health, and also physical health, which of course is correlated with all of that. MakeUseOf.com lists 7 reasons why TikTok is bad. Firstly, of course, claiming the Chinese influence, as of course any kind of Chinese company or corporation has to, of course, have a state government official on board with its company that, of course, watches everything it does and uses any kind of information for the personal benefit of the Chinese state. In China, it is connected with the social credit score that of course punishes people, doesn't allow them to travel if they commit wrong political thought, meaning that they question the government there. And according to some US government officials, the app is such a threat against US national security that of course even the former president of the United States almost banned it from the country. As of course there is evidence that this app could be a threat to national security here in the United States. India has already banned the app because they deemed it a quote threat against the security of the state and public order. This website also talks about how TikTok is bad for your brain, decreases attention span, and also with the algorithm set up by the Chinese state government is essentially a form of thought control. TikTok also heavily censors political ideas that it doesn't like. It even previously suppressed posts by users that they deemed too ugly or too poor on their particular platform, and this website makeofus.com literally did a very poor job, as of course they kind of regurgitate and repeat the same thing that they said before. Yes, of course, data collection issues, security issues, but the National Review even goes as far as to label TikTok evil, and they have an argument there. As of course, it's also very interesting to note that TikTok in China, tied to of course the social credit score, has a completely different algorithm than of course what the American youth is subjected to here in the United States, where of course degenerate, debaucherous behavior is promoted, e-thoughtery reigns supreme on the platform, pranking, hurting, and making fun of other people is promoted, while of course promoting low IQ ideas, overall groupthink, and of course also woke degeneracy, while of course in China, the app is limited to children for 40 minutes a day and highlights educational content teaching them math, science, art, creation, and doesn't of course focus on the low IQ woke debauchery that many people deem as a degradation of our current society, which is absolutely wreaking havoc on our civilization. And if you think TikTok is bad, wait until you find out about the US domestic intel agency connected big tech social media companies that of course run wild here in the United States, where of course we don't really hear criticism of them, and when we do, it is rare, like this New York Post article that is highlighting how social media is, quote, literally making teens mentally ill. And as we know from previous Facebook thought experiments, that they literally used unsuspecting users on their platform and manipulated their emotions in a psychological study to see how sad they could make individuals depending on what they decided to show them on, of course, their newsfeed, and how happy they can make them depending on what they decide to show them on their newsfeed. It looks like sadness, fear, and trauma, just like the start of almost every Disney movie, is what is the big tech social media companies here are running with, especially Facebook, since of course the mental health of children in our country has been declining. And it's not just TikTok's fault. It's also the fault of big tech social media companies here domestically inside of the United States, tied to, of course, the intelligence agencies of the United States that are pretty much acting the same way as the Chinese government is acting with TikTok. And everything we almost mentioned here, when it comes to censorship, data collection, security issues, worrisome content, is already being done domestically here by alleged American companies. What's the result of this? Well, a lot of people losing their minds and absolutely going crazy. Like this axe-wielding lunatic that can't get a date, and this teacher from Ontario, Canada, that has decided to use enormous prosthetic bazongas underneath tight t-shirts with their own prosthetic, how do you call these? Family-friendly show here, with their own prosthetic peepers. That's one way of saying it. We can't show you them fully in this video because this is a family-friendly broadcast, but this is literally what students are subjected to in a classroom, in a school that is actively defending this shop teacher who by the way isn't even following safety protocols in this video clip of this person. But yes, the school is defending this person's choice because they, quote, want the site to be safe for all. Definitely doesn't seem safe for the students there because the teacher can't even actively work or know how to properly operate a machine, which she does incorrectly without the proper safety gear inside a freaking shop class with her huge fake bazongas. How did we get here? Why are we here as society? Well, we could thank big tech social media. That's my opinion, that's my perspective, and there's a lot of empirical evidence suggesting that this degradation of society is directly correlated with the thoughts and ideas that are promoted by big tech social media that, of course, is essentially, whether it's TikTok or Facebook, running a form of mass mind control over all of us by selecting and choosing what we are allowed to hear and listen to. And it gets a lot more sinister than just psychological projects on unsuspecting users of Facebook, trying to deliberately making them sad and now continuing to make them sad. It gets a lot more sinister than that, as of course Facebook and Mark Zuckerberg have worked hand in hand with the federal government, with the intelligence agencies, with the FBI, sharing private user data and information to them that they didn't even ask for, that they didn't even want, that didn't even help them, but essentially spying on Americans, especially when it came to their political thoughts, were given straight to the thought police. We also found out that your private user data was shared by Facebook to Dr. Fauci to help him, quote, facilitate lockdowns within the last 3 years, which of course were done part and parcel with the help and aiding and supporting of Facebook with. There's emails between Mark Zuckerberg and Dr. Fauci literally highlighting how Facebook was all on board with locking people down inside of their own home and even spied on you to help the government to do so. Now, why did they do this? Well, there's many sinister reasons why you might think they did this. We could speculate all day about the larger agenda and causes, but on a basic superficial level, it was essentially for their own personal benefit, as of course, the more people you lock down, the more people you keep inside of your home, the more people that will go on big tech social media. And essentially that was the plan here, and the lockdowns have facilitated the hooking of our society to be more dependent on big tech social media. This is why during the lockdowns, the big tech social media billionaires have enriched themselves more than almost anyone else in our society, other than, of course, Big Pharma. And if it's not just a pure profit motive, there also is a larger agenda that, of course, is promoted by the World Economic Forum, but that big tech social media and intelligence agencies are going along with, as of course, the World Economic Forum just literally released a piece about how they were so happy that billions of people across the world complied with lockdown restrictions, and even going as far as say that if they did this because of the health concerns, they could do this to help, quote, the environment in a social credit carbon rationing scheme that, of course, they call for in this article. And essentially, this is the end game. This is what they want, this is what they're calling for, and this is what they will get. Unless, of course, more people wake up and challenge these ideas and don't go along with it. How will we get these ideas out there with all the censorship that we're going to be talking about in just a little bit? Well, t-shirts. That's one of the way. And hey, I got a t-shirt company. Who would have thought? But being serious here and not just facetious, t-shirts are still surprisingly one of the few ways where we could get political messages across that cannot be censored, rationed, or limited to the general public. And the more of us that are willing to, of course, wear t-shirts with ideas that contradict the narrative, that contradict the agenda, the talking point, the mass hypnosis, trauma-based mind control, the better possibility we have of waking people up. And this is why I went full in on starting the bestpoliticalshirts.com, an actual website which you could click right now in the description below, as of course I started and I focused on this t-shirt company after YouTube demonetized my channel, and of course I couldn't make a living, and more importantly, I had a harder time getting my message out there to the general public. What better way to combat those ideas than, of course, starting a t-shirt company? And there's some shirts that, of course, we cannot even show you here on this particular broadcast. And we have a lot of them, a lot of t-shirts, a lot of ideas that you could express, that you could help get the messaging out and do your part of lazy activism when it comes to also finding like-minded people in your communities, in your grocery stores, at your local supermarkets, whatever it may be. This has been a great way of connecting people, spreading political ideas, and also supporting and funding independent media. And if it truly wasn't for you guys wearing and buying shirts like the one I'm wearing right now, I wouldn't be here. So again, I'm extremely grateful for you guys doing so. And truly, getting active, getting engaged is a really fun process, and I think we need to start doing that more and more, as even Alex Berenson, the former New York Times writer, has been fighting with the censorship that he's been facing inside of court, and he has had some major legal victories, especially with the latest ruling in the federal Fifth Circuit Court that ruled that social media platforms don't have an unlimited right to discriminate against speech. It definitely also looks like there is some shadowy online actions being made against them by the big tech social media companies, as of course you can't even find him when looking for him on Twitter, the platform that he had to go to court and win a court battle to get reinstated on. And in the face of this algorithm manipulation, in the face of all of these mistakes, in the face of losing subscribers, of people getting unsubscribed, of people getting no notifications, of people trying to see your stuff and getting denied the access to see Alex Berenson actually stand up for this and say, hey, we'll sue you again, gives me absolute hope, because there's a lot of censorship, even of course to individuals like Elon Musk that are now alleging that they're being suppressed. And I've followed Elon Musk a lot. I retweeted a lot of his stuff, and lately, within the last few weeks, I haven't been seeing his stuff at all. And he is one of the biggest, most prominent individuals on the face of this world with 106 million followers. And for him to come out and declare that he is being suppressed absolutely makes sense, as of course he is in a legal battle right now with Twitter, and Twitter really isn't happy with Elon Musk and Alex Berenson, which of course they would love to fully get rid of, and their ability to actually conduct speech on their platform. I also recently got fact-checked, and the algorithm is of course screwing with a lot of my content. A lot of people are being unsubscribed, a lot of people are being unfollowed, and if you followed me anywhere, whether it's Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, double check that you're still following me, because a lot of people are reporting that they're just not. Click the notification button if you want more notifications, and that might be the way that you might just, if you're lucky, win the We Are Change lottery and still be able to hear our voice. But again, one of the best things you can do, get a t-shirt, and on the front page of wearechange.org, sign up on our email list. It's free, it costs you nothing, and we are guaranteed to have direct contact with you, one-on-one, where we could communicate, talk to each other without any kind of mediary buffer. That's still one of the best ways that I think we should be incentivizing and pushing for when it comes to the larger communication that we could still luckily have. And if you're still here, my goodness, golly gracious, thank you so much. It means the world to me that people are still watching these videos all the way up until the very end. It absolutely means a lot that you do this. It means a lot that you get the shirts. And I am humbled by just having your attention and your time that you're willing to spend it with me. And this is why I love you guys. Stay tuned for more here on wearechange.org.